Hey, what is up, you sexy beasts? Tristan here. I'm bringing you guys another episode of Should I, where I answer if you guys should do something, not actually for me personally, but it's mostly for you guys, and it is should I get a job. I covered a should I, the very first episode was about working at McDonald's, but I wanted to make should I get a job just more vague, right? More general, more broad and stuff like that, so you guys can make sure to get a job if you want to get a job and stuff like that. So I'm going to get right into it. So I'm going to talk about the pros, then I'm going to talk about the cons, then I'm going to talk about some tips and personal stuff like that that I have to offer. So the pros, it's a stable income. It is an income you can rely on. You're like, okay, I'm getting paid on this day and this day, or every Friday, or 4 times a month, or twice a month, once a month, doesn't matter. You can count on this income on a known date, and it's a stable income in which you will receive a check every single time. So it's awesome. Now, that is if you're working, but if you're not, that's a different story. Anyway, so it's also a learning experience. It's a huge learning experience, right? You're learning responsibility, you're learning discipline, you're learning how to be there on time, you're learning how to dress appropriately and follow policies and shit like that. And so it's a huge discipline, and you get to learn a lot about the work environment, working with people, teamwork, discipline, responsibility, and all this other crazy stuff. So it's really beneficial there, and you can learn confidence and leadership skills and all this other sorts of stuff. Really just depends on what job you have. If you're like packing stuff, then maybe not so much, but it really depends where you work. Now, it also helps you get used to it, and this comes into the learning experience, right? You're getting used to working for the rest of your life. Like, yeah, unless you strike big or win the lottery or do something really crazy, most likely you're going to be working in some form for the rest of your life. So it really does help to get used to it now, I guess I would say. So yeah, it does help with that, which is definitely a good thing. Yeah, that's always a good benefit, because I've been working at McDonald's for 3.5 years, and I started there. This will transition into something I was talking about earlier. I started there the summer before 9th grade, so right before high school started, I got my job, and so I like worked part-time, and then I got select hours, and so when I started high school, I only worked on weekends, and then I think junior year of high school, I started working Wednesdays and weekends as well. So it was absolutely fantastic, but that's how I manage it. I'll get into that in a second, why it matters. Now, you can also get more freedom. Like I said, this depends on your parents. Like, if your parents are like, oh my god, you're working, this is awesome, here's some more freedom, now you can go out late, now you can do this, now you can do that. It might happen, it might not. This is something I can't promise, but it definitely will help you look good in front of your parents and stuff like that. Now, the problem is, it is time consuming. You have to actually go to work. You can't just, you know, do whatever. So anyway, you do have to go to work, and it is time consuming, and it'll take out blocks of time. And if you don't have that time, then that really sucks, man. Then maybe a job's not for you. Like, let's say you're into a bunch of extracurricular activities and hanging out with friends and social events and shit. Maybe you just don't have room to squeeze a job in there, and that's perfectly okay, because you're probably younger. This is going towards my audience, so they're relatively younger. If you guys are adults and you're living in your mom's basement, then yeah, you should definitely get a job. But otherwise, then it's really situational. So also, it may suck. You may dread going to work. It may be the worst part of your day. It may be awful. It may be really cool. I don't know. It really depends on your job, where you work, who you work with. But if you really love your job at first, that's normal. And then the dread might set in later. So definitely look out for that. Because that's how jobs can be misleading. Like, I remember when I first got my job, I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. Stable income, this is great. And then I'm like, oh, work sucks. But now I'm back to the first one where I'm like, yeah, work is all right. It really depends on the day, but work is all right. So anyway, you may have to pay for stuff now. This also depends on your parents. If your parents are like, hey, now you have a job, now you have to buy your own blank, and you'd be like, fuck. But yeah, like I said, it really depends on your parents, so that'd be definitely a con there. Now, some tips. Don't work weekdays. It really depends what your weekend schedule looks like, but if your weekend is free, I would say do not work weekdays. I mean, you can fit in work and socializing. Like, let's say you work from like 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, and then the rest of the day you can just be hanging out with friends or doing whatever. It'd be great. So I would say definitely manage your job. Don't let your job manage you. So you determine your hours. Talk with your employer. Talk with your boss. Be like, hey, look, I can't work on these days because of this activity or this or the other thing. Or, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to make it to work on this day because of a sporting event. And make sure your employer understands that school is top priority. So, yeah, I would definitely say for you, prioritize school And, you know, if you're struggling with grades, if you're struggling with all this other stuff, I would say do not get a job. But if you're confident in school and you're good and you're ready and you're like, okay, look, I'm almost 16 or whatever, I'm going to get my driver's license and I need a job to pay for a card, pay for a license, do whatever, then I would advise doing it, but make sure you know what you're getting into. Make sure you know, figure out when you want to work, when you can work, how you want to do it, because if it's too much to handle, it's too much to handle. That's just bottom line. So there are a lot of things you can do to make sure that your work experience is a positive one and that everything's good and all the bases are covered and that you're not in for more than you can handle. So guys, if you have time, if you're in high school and you want some things and maybe you don't have the money for them, or maybe you are being older and want to be more responsible, whatever, getting a job is definitely a great thing and that might be for you. But let's say you're into a bunch of extracurricular activities, maybe you're struggling with grades, maybe you have really good grades, I don't know, and you just don't have the time to get a job, then I would say, focus on what you're doing, man. A job's not that important right now. It's really up to you. So you just got to decide if a stable income is worth those sacrifices and stuff like that. For this learning experience. Really, if you guys enjoyed this video, do not forget to smash the like button. I love you. See you in the next video.